Well, two big movies opening this weekend. Actually, I've seen a lot of previews because I've gone to quite a few movies lately myself. We got Fast and the Furious 6, and then Epic opening this weekend. I'm gonna guess, and I'm not gonna color it. I'm gonna just say that I'd love to hear a few lines about Fast and Furious, and then I'm guessing we'll hear more about Epic.
well, let me start with Fast and Furious 6, and probably a question that are on some of our viewers' minds, which is, really, we needed a sixth Fast and Furious film? They couldn't have wrapped it up at number 5. This is a cash cow. They've got a formula. It's working well for them, especially internationally. The formula, however, is not very family-friendly. Not all of it's unfamily-friendly. I mean, the main thing is fast cars and fast cars and fast cars and more fast cars. That's the formula. But here's the unfamily friendliness. For some reason, we've got to ogle lots of women in very, very skimpy bikinis. There's always some risque dialogue. That happens at least a couple scenes. The martial arts scenes, a lot of fisticuffs. And Justin Lin, the director, said something about this film that he wanted to have the female fight scene of the century or something along those lines. So there's one scene, two scenes actually in particular, where two women are really battling. And there's something awkward, something, can I use the word wrong, about women beating up women. Lots of raw language that pushed the envelope there as well. So anyways, it's a film that I gave a 2.5 out of 5 for family friendliness. Not quite in our wheelhouse, if you will.
A movie I'm guessing a lot of families are going to consider going to over the coming weeks. I'm one of them. I'm a dad of a couple of kids. Is Epic, another animated film. How is it for families?
It stacks up well.
Okay.
I gave it a 4.5. It has been a long time. It's been a drought since I've been able to say, here's a film in wide release. It's worthwhile. Load your 7-year-old, your 9-year-old, and your 11. Go as a family. It's a popcorn muncher. A bit about it. Think Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, only animated. That's not a perfect parallel, but it kind of gives you the gist. It deals with a teenager. She goes by the initials MK. Her mom just died. She's forced to go live with her dad. Her parents have separated or divorced, we're not sure. She doesn't really want that. She believes her dad is obsessive and compulsive because he believes there's tiny little people in the forest. Of course, that can't be true until one day she's in the forest and she discovers a very little person herself and realizes, wow, Dad's on to something. He was telling the truth all these years. She begins then a quest to save these little people, the keepers of the forest, the ones that help green up the forest from the Boggans, which are the villains in the movie that help, they're into rot and the destruction of the forest. If I had something negative to say about the film as far as from a family perspective, is that there's some moments of peril. There's quite a few archery scenes, warring scenes between the good guys and the bad guys, but it's handled very well. And the family reconciliation message of this film, which is the message in its essence, is certainly worthwhile for kids to hear.
That's fantastic. So, I mean, I'm thinking of my kids, 6 and 7.5. Fairly safe for a kid group that age?
I take them. Take them. I think I talk to them in the car on the way there and just say something. Hey, the man I talk to every week about film said that there's some moments that could be a little scary, and I want you to know ahead of time but the film ends well.
Cool. Well, because we haven't had a chance to talk about this, I am a huge Trekkie. I grew up on Star Trek, big fan of the movies, but there's a difference between being a grown-up, I think, being a fan of Star Trek these days, and a kid. And if somebody's been thinking about taking their, let's say preteen, teen, maybe folks would think about younger, but to Star Trek, since we haven't really had a chance to talk about it, what would you say? What's your recommendation?
You know, I'd say quite a bit of caution needs to go into the thought process to bring preteens into the mix. And yet there was so much about this new Star Trek Into Darkness that I liked. But a little bit about it, for those who aren't familiar, this is a prequel to the first television show. Film messages that I really like in Star Trek are things, the bravery, the courage, the self-sacrifice. And when I say self-sacrifice, not only the willingness to do it, but without giving it away, just say a main character actually lays down his or her life for their friends. You know, it's very Christ-like. It's very commendable. It looks good. I mean, on screen, it's in a healthy, admirable, virtuous way type thing that go, wow, that character really did something cool. Now, but on the negative, the violence, you know, we're dealing with some language here. We're dealing with a risque scene that's very brief, but you kind of go, huh, did I really need that?
Remind me what you gave it from a family-friendly.
A 2.5 out of 5.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I wouldn't take my 7.5-year-old to it. I've seen it a couple times, but I wouldn't take Drew to it.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you, Bob. Hey, Plugged In Movie Review, you got pluggedin.com, fantastic apps, which I used again the other day before I let my kids watch Rise of the Guardians. I really appreciated that very much.
Thank you.